While watch winders can be useful in certain situations, they may not always be the best option for your Rolex. First, it's important to understand what a watch winder does. Automatic watches like Rolexes rely on the movement of the wearer's wrist to power the movement and keep the watch running. When not worn regularly, an automatic watch will eventually stop. A watch winder is designed to mimic the motion of the wrist, keeping the watch wound even when it's not being worn. For someone with multiple watches, this can seem like a convenient way to keep their timepieces ready to wear at any moment. However, using a watch winder with a Rolex may not be as essential as some might think. Rolex watches are designed with robust movements that can handle periods of inactivity without any issues. If you have a Rolex that you wear occasionally, you can simply wind it manually before wearing it again. This will not harm the watch, and it will function just as well as if it had been continuously running on a winder. One of the primary concerns with using a watch winder is the potential for excessive wear and tear on the movement. Watch winders, especially those set to high rotation settings or that run constantly, can put unnecessary strain on the winding mechanism. Over time, this can lead to increased wear on the components, which could require more frequent servicing. While the impact may be minor, it's still something to consider, particularly if you're using the watch winder for a high-quality timepiece like a Rolex. For watches that are rarely worn, giving them a little activity every few weeks to keep the lubricants within the movement evenly distributed can be beneficial. However, a watch winder is not strictly necessary to achieve this. Simply winding the watch manually and wearing it for a short period will suffice in keeping the movement in good condition. Another factor to consider is the specific model of Rolex you own. Some Rolex models, such as those with more complicated movements, may benefit slightly more from a watch winder if you want to keep them constantly running and ready to wear. However, for the vast majority of Rolex models, the occasional manual winding and wear will be more than enough to maintain the watch's functionality and longevity. In summary, while automatic watch winders can be convenient, they are not always necessary for maintaining a Rolex. If you have multiple watches or a model with a complex movement, a watch winder can be useful. However, for most Rolex owners, simply winding the watch manually and wearing it periodically is more than sufficient. Overuse of a watch winder can lead to unnecessary wear on the movement, so it's important to use one with caution if you choose to do so. Ultimately, whether or not to use a watch winder with your Rolex depends on your personal preferences and how frequently you rotate your watches.